The mayor is speaking at a council meeting. Let's listen in live to her remarks this morning.
Mexico. We have a responsibility to make sure they have a roof over their head and can start a new life in safety in Toronto. But now a lot of them are left out in the cold. You see them in parks, you see them under highways in encampments. As you know, the city of Toronto is facing a massive budget deficit. We can't legally run a deficit. Our shelter costs have skyrocketed, and we have asked the federal government to support us, to help us pay the bills. We've already paid most of the bills this year to shelter hotels, and we are sheltering more than 5,000 refugees. That's almost half of the people that are in shelters. We've made our request for $200 million this year. They've committed $97 million. We're in the middle of developing the budget for next year, and we need, because based on the growth, we need $240 million for shelters next year. As you know, 1% property tax increase is equal to $40 million. So to cover the federal government's refugee shelter bill, it's 6 times that. The new deal we struck with the province of Ontario is transformational. Part of it is $200 million in shelter support, but that is conditional on the federal government stepping up. That is an opportunity for the federal government to join us. The new deal is on the agenda today. It will be my first key item. As I said when I introduced the new deal standing next to the Premier, I said that we inherited a bit of a mess, a financial mess, and he agreed. And for a long time, more than a decade, it's been hard to find hope. By uploading the Gardner and the DVP, we unlocked billions of dollars we can spend on priorities for the people of Toronto. That's more money for housing, more money for parks and recreation programs, for public transit, libraries. There are a lot we can do. This deal means we can realize the potential of our housing plan, and thousands of units can be built by redirecting funds that would otherwise be spent on repairing aging highways. There's a lot of potential in this deal. That's why I am confident Council will endorse it today. But of course, it doesn't take us all the way there. We still have a large budget deficit to address, which includes, as I said, the $250 million that we need from the federal government for refugee shelter. Further, many of the historic commitments from the province in the New Deal hinges on the federal government delivering as well, like the bluer subway cars. So you've heard me say quite a few times, I'm asking the federal government to join us and step up, deliver to the people of Toronto. The city is delivering, the province is delivering, and people want the federal government to deliver as well. I suspect you have some questions. No questions? Okay, I'll see you at council.
The action, Mayor, to the overall cost estimate of renaming Dundas as much as $12 million.
There is a motion that I believe will be coming on that Young Dundas Square by the local councillor of Young Dundas Square, and we're likely going to be debating it tomorrow.
Young Dundas Square is the same as renaming Dundas Street? Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. The committee have met, previous council have set up a committee, and the committee is looking at renaming not just the street, they're looking at renaming Young Dundas Square and possibility of the subway stations and libraries. So the local councillor have been working with this committee of academic people that have a lot of knowledge, and I believe there is a recommendation coming forward, and you will see it tomorrow.
Where do you stand, sir, where do you stand? Because, in light of what your opening remarks, where do you stand on spending money to rename libraries, Young Dundas Square and Dundas Street right across Toronto? And
When the motion is ready, I will be supporting this motion. It's been, I've been working very closely with the committee and the councillor. I don't want to preempt the councillor because it is in his writing. And the motion will be coming forward. There's a series of recommendations in it.
Given the homeless, everything you said in your opening remarks, is that where we should be spending millions of dollars?
You will see that there's hardly any money going to be spent.
Mayor Chow, on Uber, your city solicitor is recommending not to fight this in court, said that the city did not consult properly. Emails released through FOI show that your office did consult, but only with Ride-Fare TO, not with Uber or Lyft. Did your office and council move too fast on this instead of waiting for the final report?
Be interested in knowing how people got a copy of the confidential report, which I will not comment because it would be in camera. I am working on a motion with the city solicitor that will alleviate this legal concerns. When the motion is done, I will share it. It will be debated
Does that mean
in
that,
camera.
Does that mean that you're changing your position on the issue?
When the motion is done, it will be clear. But what I would not do is to break confidentiality that perhaps a councillor might have done, and that's because the city solicitor report is in camera.
But the other information came out via FOI, and it shows your director of policy working closely with his former employer, who runs Ride-Fare TO, discussing how to do this, going back as early as August with your instructions to get this done. So why did you consult with the taxi lobby, but not Uber and Lyft?
I believe that Uber had high-paid lobbyist meeting with my staff, but when you let me know what is in that confidential report, then perhaps we can discuss it, but I'm not going to discuss anything inside the... Well, the confidential report is in camera, and I do not believe that I should have the liberty to comment on the...
Mayor, I'm asking about your staff, the Freedom of Information document, your staff...
That you have
email.
received? Why don't you...
Has it been released?
Okay, why don't you let my office know what are the documents that you have received from FOI, and we'll comment on it.
Next question.
Mayor, when it comes to renaming Dundas, some people have drawn the comparison to the renaming of Centennial Stadium. People have said, if you're going to rename Dundas, costly process because of a controversial figure like Dundas, why would you go about and name a stadium after someone with an equally controversial background? Is that not, speaking up both sides of your mouth?
Dundas delayed the cancellation and the abolition of slavery for many years. He also promoted taking children, young girls and boys, to take them away from their parents and bring them to England, to other parts of Europe as slaves so they could multiply, procreate, so there will be enough people, enough labor, slave labor, in order to service the plantations. Surely you're not comparing a slave owner. Well, and it's not, I don't know whether it's a slave owner or not. But allow me to finish. The motion that Councillor Moyes will be bringing forward address this. I do know the pain of losing a loved one. I understand that. That is why I supported Councillor Ainsley's motion to name a football stadium, because I understood what that meant for the Ford family. I certainly understood how painful it was for a young person to die prematurely. And yeah, that's why it's in front of the agenda today.
But you talk about pain, a lot of the behavior that the previous mayor just the way he
Okay, setting up for an interesting day at City Hall there. Mayor Olivia Chow taking questions from reporters about a range of issues, including the situation with Uber, as the city solicitor is suggesting that the city should not be fighting its position on that in terms of, stopping or limiting the number of licenses available. Also, that was just sort of back and forth about the debate to rename Dundas Street and her position on renaming Centennial Stadium after former mayor Rob Ford as well. So lots happening down at City Hall.